Right, so here we are at part 6 in this series of videos about installing a DRO on my mill. Now in parts 3, 4, and 5, I went over all the axes, and if you want to see that, that's where the bulk of the whole series is. In this one, I'm just going to cover off the last 2 or 3 steps that I need to deal with. One of which is mounting the RPM counter read head up here. Another is how I've decided to set up the display unit and make that quite tough and adjustable. And lastly, we're going to have a look at how I've done the cable routing, because there's an astonishing amount of cabling that you need to deal with. First, we're going to have a look at all the bits and pieces here on the table next to me. Then we're going to mount it all on the mill, and I'll show you how it works. Now, as far as what we can assemble here on the table, not a heck of a lot, but we'll just do a couple of things. One in particular is the arm here. I'll just put the caps back on the end. I've got these bushings that I made just to try and take up some of the slack. Screw that together. If you watched part 2 in this series, you've seen all this already. Let's have a quick look at the screen, because we can mount something to the back of that as well. I've obviously been putting a lot of thought into how I was going to mount this. All the way through all episodes, I was looking at this, trying to think, what was I going to do? How was I going to do it? And I settled on this. And we're going to put on a brand new replacement. And now this plate. So that's got a 1/4 inch sort of a screw in there. On its own, it's okay, but I really wanted this to last and not risk having this ever come undone. And so we screw it in, move it up there, screw it into that top hole. And then in the bottom hole, I've got my M5, which fits straight through, whereas an M6 would not have fit through. So I can screw that on quite tightly, and that one as well. So what I'm going to do is mount the tripod head onto this plate here, and I need to remove some bits and pieces from this. For example, this little, like a cold shoe attachment. And then beneath that we've got a little adapter plate for that. Okay, I've cleared that. And we're going to mount it here. And I've got 2 holes. One is for the high tensile and the other is for this little set screw. And the point of that is it goes into here. I get my, that can be nice and tight. It's not meant to ever come undone. But note that I've not used any Loctite or anything, as I thought I might use when I was making it. So that's never coming off. And now the way these ball and socket heads work is that when you loosen them, it's not just the ball that loosens, but also the base. It's not locked into one position, so if you wanted to go down there or wherever, you can bring it around. So that's how that all works, but we're going to just have it like that, because typically it's going to be like that. All right, let's go put this stuff back on the mill. We'll see what it looks like. Okay, so the next part of this is to get this bracket here onto this arm. Screws from the rear, the point being you can loosen it and move it along without having to take the screen off. Goes on there, and it's a close fit, all this. So let's say we have it out here. Once you've tightened it up, it's not going anywhere. And the head unit has this thing on the back. That's the quick release plate, and it just slots in there. Again, I've done this like this, where the knob is out the bottom, so I can easily get to it. Put it on. So now the head is mounted. I can reach behind here, grab the display, and I can go anywhere. And I don't have to hold it. I don't have to go like that and then push the buttons. So that's great. Okay, there we go. That's the display mounted. Now where I'm going to use it is probably just about here. If I'm sitting down a lot, it's quite nice that I can just tilt it down a little bit like that towards me. So I'm going to pop that off, and we'll just have a quick look at the RPM counter. So to get this off, nice and easy, just take it off. So there's quite a lot going on this mill now with all the mods, but nothing has been drilled so far. Even this cabling, the big problem I had here was how was I going to get the cable from the counter out to the back of the head unit. You see, I thought I would be having to cut a little slot, just a little cutaway there so I could lay the cable in it. I couldn't do it down here because I would have to make the slot up about that far to allow for that edge. So the only place to do it was really somewhere around here. Otherwise, trying to feed it through here, but I'd have to take the plug off, resolder it afterwards after feeding it through, and then it would be permanently on there. Another one is maybe to leave this off or take the net out and run it up there. There are all kinds of options, but nothing was very tidy. Now that might not be so tidy. I've actually left the cable here on it just because I didn't want to cut it yet. Really doesn't matter. So the mill originally came with an RPM counter. It had this sensor, and it goes into a bunch of wiring that comes out through this gray cable and goes into the back, into this electronics box. Those are the two heads. That's the new one, the thick one. You can see they're very close to the spindle here. And this is the original head. They both have an LED in the rear, and as it spins, if it's turned on, when it reads successfully, the LED lights up. All right, so what I decided to do to get this wire out of the whole housing and out the side here and into the DRO display was this. First, I unsoldered this plug on this end. There's 3 wires. This one is for the power for the motor. That's like mains power. But this one here is just a hose that contains all the wiring. See back there for the electronics? That's what's in there. And it doesn't take up the full amount of space available in this pass-through thing. So I unscrewed that. I passed the wire through there, passed it through the next bit, passed it through this bit, and there you can see it there. And it joins my cable tree out here. So now I can take the whole head and put it on and off and not worry about that. I don't know if I'll shorten that or not. Probably won't. We'll just leave it there. Let's put this back on here. Before I put the head back on, I'll have a look at the cable routing. As you can see, it's quite a drama back here. I think this is as clean and tidy as it could possibly be made, whilst having the head mounted to the mill. You could mount your display unit on the wall or in some other bracket somewhere, and then you wouldn't have to bring the cabling back into the mill space. The cabling would just leave the mill and go to the display. So this is the X-axis along the front of the mill, and the cable comes out to the left. And I join it to the Y-axis cable just under there. I'm not using any channels or any mounts or anything. The whole thing just goes up here. It never touches the bottom of the mill or anything like that, and ties to this set of cables there, which is made up of the 2 original cables coming out of the head. The next axis of interest would be the U-axis. Now here I've got the cable coming out the top, and then it's joined by the Z-axis head right there. And they go into this channel, that right there. And there's just enough room to squeeze those extra 2 cables in there. So they go down there. And along with these cables, it all heads around the back to here. Out there, the cables just drop down. And they just come up, and I've mounted them, zip-tied of course. Now that's not ideal because this channel, of course, unravels itself and then bends again, and so you're going to get this uneven sort of bending. But the way that manifests is that this track here opens up wide like that. If I take this cabling off of it, then the track stays squished together a bit more. And that's just sitting there. You see, it's not actually mounted on anything. There's just a stay. So that's fine. So now we've got the 4 reader cables in metal. We've got the power cable, and we've got the RPM counter cable. And you can't really have the cables coming onto the back of the head unit here and just hanging down, straight down. They have to go somewhere. And so really I've got 2 snakes. This one going out and this one coming in. I think that's pretty good. It basically goes along the back of this here bracket and screws in. So we'll start with the power lead. My new power lead comes around goes into the back of the unit like that. See what I did here was I marked them all with what axis they are. Starting at the bottom, we've got the RPM counter. So the U is the next one up. The Z after that. Then we've got the Y. I believe the X is on top. Like so. I don't really have to screw both sides in, but at least get one side. Maybe I will do both, seeing as it's basically together now. I don't see myself pulling this apart for some time. As long as it's all working, it's good. There we go. Now that I'm going to put 2 ties on so it stays behind there. And let's see how this looks. Now I can still undo the screen, move all over the place. Now, how do we use it? There's the U. Obviously that's working. We got about 52 millimeters of action there. On the Z, I've got my power feed on that right now, coming down, going up, and so on. And up here we have the Y-axis. I'll stop basically there, 126. And if I take that out, I think I get 180 worth of movement. I'll just have a quick look at the feature where you can combine 2 of the axes, which is the Z and the U, into a single one. Now I've tried it briefly, but I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to use it. See, Z equals Z plus U. Exit. Okay, now the U and the Z are the same. So the Z is, and it says Z plus U right there. So they're working together. But if I add this to it, you see, I get a combined readout. So I can use the entire column, including this here, as a single axis with a single dimension. All right, so that's good. I think I'll set that back to separate for now. Cool. Oh, let's have a look at the RPM, make sure that's working. Low speed there. This should settle in on 100 or 99, like that. Great. So that works. Does it go backwards? It's not going to be minus, is it? Yeah, it's just the same. Good. In terms of the positioning, as I say, I'm normally sitting here. That distance, I want it to be the same roughly. So about to there. And I'd bring it out right there. So when I've got all my crazy stacks of glasses on, and I've got it like that, I can go like that and not have to refocus or tilt my head to try and get other glasses into it. Because if it was back there on the wall or somewhere, I wouldn't be able to focus on it without changing my glasses. And I guess if I'm going to work standing up, reach behind, go like that, and we're standing up. Nice. All right, let's finish it there. All right, there we go. I've reached the end of this series, and as you can see, I'm very happy with the result. Still got heaps of learning to do. Got to sit down with the book and have a read through it and figure out the advanced features. But the basic things like centering, finding the center, putting your screw holes where you want them to be, all of that, I've already been doing it, and it's so much easier. It's crazy. So I don't know how people ever work without these things. Highly recommended. So if you saw anything you like in the video, as always, please like it now, because if you wait till the end, it'll skip to the next video before you can get around to it. I'll miss out on the like, and I really need some likes. Really appreciate it if you can like it. So thanks for that. If you stick around past the end of my chat here, I'll insert the usual selection of machining clips, any commentary, just anything I can find that's useful. And otherwise, be sure to like the video, subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know how I'm doing, share the video, that helps a lot. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. So right there, that's the sensor for the built-in RPM display here on the side. That seems a bit loose, but I think it is that. Yeah, well, we'll just go with that. So that, oh, that just fell out, so that wasn't screwed in there. So some sort of block that holds them like that, or even like this one could be out here because it's smaller, and then the big one could be back there. So that with a bigger hole would work. There's two holes for this thing, but there's another screw hole here that I've always seen and thought maybe I could use that for something. Let's have a look at the drawing board. So I'm just poking this through the nut and flangey sort of section, and then through the little grommet section, and then through the outer nut. Easy. I'd say that's a go. I didn't see that, did I? It's stuck up top there. So I'm going to take a piece of paper. I'm just going to start trimming it down until it's about right. Doesn't need to be that long. This is true pad, paper-aided design. Yeah, let's do the other one. Which one are we going to use? Like a millimeter? 0.8 maybe? that, and then this one goes through like that. Right, just got back here. Now I had to make this part again. I thought I had it wrong in terms of the heights and everything, and so I remade it. Was having trouble getting the heads to read. It turns out it matters which way you spin it. And so if you move it around, it doesn't read, and then you move it back and it reads. So that was causing me to not get reads when I was testing and stuff, but I've figured that out now. So I've made a new hole for that, and this new block, I've made better gaps here and everything. Overall, the block is just better. 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. If it'll clamp up, buddy. Yep, it's clamped. So there we go, I've got all that installed. Obviously I could remove all that lead, but I'm not going to now. Okay, so today's job is to sort out the way this display will be hung on the bar. I have no idea how I'm going to do this. I'd have to, maybe if I got some kind of pre-made fitting, like a ball clamp. A ball clamp. A ball clamp. There's an idea. So a ball clamp could sit like that and fasten onto the back of this thing. So on the back here we've got this plate, which can obviously come off. And that way this thing takes the twisting force. This thing just squeezes it. Let's do it that way. There we go. So that's going to be on the side, and we're going to make a hole in there and tap it where we're going to put it. It doesn't really matter because it's circular, this thing, but how far away? You see the device, it did have a little locking set screw in it when it was on the rod that this was attached to. And that's going into this heavy part. There's also that thinner part. So let's aim for that. So basically there. It's going to be rock solid on this end. The other end is still got a bit of slop. Done what I can over there. Maybe they can go in together. Let's see if it grabs them both. Oh yes, it does. Let's do that. We'll do it all together. One hole can be there. And the other hole there, if I get it right. Okay.